In the study of the digestive system, when we look at the parts of the organ, we find underneath the lungs, the liver is located at this point here. And as you can see, it goes pretty much from one side almost over completely to the other side of the body in relationship to the other organs. But here are the lungs, and then the liver is located underneath of the lungs. Underneath the liver we find the stomach hidden, and then underneath the stomach we find the transverse colon that's coming across. So as you can see, the liver, the stomach, and the transverse colon are all pretty much just in layers. And when we're studying the colon, what we have to remember is that the small intestine winds around in the abdominal area and comes over and connects to the large intestine or the colon. And this gray area here is the colon. So we have the small intestines that encompass all of this area. Comes around and attaches by the ileocecal junction. We have the colon, and this part that comes up here on the side is called the ascending colon. So ascending, going up, coming across is transverse colon, and then coming down over on this other side, which is almost hard to see because of the small intestine covering it up. But the large intestine continues on over on this side, and that's referred to as the descending colon. If we take out the organs, the lungs, the liver, the stomach, this whole section here will lift out, and we are able to see then the ascending, transverse, descending colon. And then on the underside, this part that starts back over is referred to as the rectosigmoid, and then the rectum is the part that comes and starts out more of a center toward the center, and then the opening itself is called the anus. But we want to remember ascending, transverse, descending, rectosigmoid, the rectum, and the anus. And that's the part of the large intestine. The small intestine is broken into three parts, remembering the first part that attaches to the stomach, which would be located right here. That's referred to as the duodenum. The middle section is referred to as the jejunum, and then the lower section is referred to as the ileum. So the duodenum or duodenum, the jejunum, middle section, lower portion, ileum.
Which are all picture, take a look at it, see what it goes.
This isn't. I've because none of these are working like they're supposed to. Zero. I think this will work. In the alimentary canal, which is another name for the digestive system, we find the following parts that you'll need to be able to identify. The top three parts indicate the salivary glands. The one that's over on the left-hand side of the illustration is the salivary gland, which is right under the tongue, which is called the sublingual salivary gland. The one that's located in the lower jaw is referred by two names, submaxillary or submandibular salivary glands. And the one that's over on the right-hand side of the top, which is located up in the upper part of the mouth or the palate, is referred to as the parotid salivary glands. As the food enters into the mouth and is chewed, the saliva mixes in with it, it is swallowed, and is then goes into the back of the throat or the pharynx, and then goes down on into the esophagus, remembering that this offshoot here represents the trachea, which we study in the respiratory system. The trachea, remember, is the windpipe. It's not shown in its entirety because we are not studying that part. So we see the esophagus here, which moves on down into the stomach. The stomach is this organ right here, and it is superimposed with this dotted organ, which represents the pancreas. The reason that the pancreas is a dotted organ is because the pancreas is actually on the underside. From the stomach, we move into the first part of the small intestine, which is this line right here, which is the duodenum or the duodenum. The duodenum then connects with the middle portion of the small intestine, which is called the jejunum, and that's actually over on this side. And then the lower portion of the small intestine, which is the ileum, is shown right by this line right here. So we have the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. Now going back up to this, we have this line pointing to the liver, which is this large organ right here. And then on the underside of the liver, we have the gallbladder. It's shown here on the top for visual sake, but keep in mind that the gallbladder is actually on the underside of the liver. The parts of the large intestine start at this point where the ileum is coming around and connecting to the ileocecal junction, and it comes in and connects to the first part of the large intestine. So this is actually pointing to the cecum here. And then this part that comes up, which is represented by this line, is the ascending colon. And the reason there's two lines is because you need to put ascending and colon. So this part that comes up is the ascending colon. Then the part of the large intestine that goes across is the transverse colon, which is representative of this line right here. So transverse colon. And then the part of the colon that's coming down on the opposite side of the body is referred to as the descending colon because it's coming back down. Descending colon. Then we have the part of the colon which starts coming toward the center again, and that's called the rectosigmoid. The part that's in the center that starts toward the opening is the rectum, and then the opening itself is the anus. The last part of this illustration is this appendage that's hanging down right here, referred to as the appendix. And so these are the parts. Let's go through them again. We have the sublingual salivary glands, the submandibular or submaxillary salivary glands, liver, gallbladder, duodenum or duodenum, ascending colon, ileum, cecum, appendix. On the other side, we have the anus, rectum, rectosigmoid, descending colon, jejunum, transverse colon, pancreas, stomach, esophagus, and parotid salivary glands.